My Flak brothers and sisters, today is the day that we no longer have to fade away inside of combat. We'll be able to show our face and be able to mow down the enemies. No longer will we look at Moze and say, wow, why is she not getting nerfed? No longer will we look at Amara and say, wow, she has amazing sustaining damage. No longer will we look at Zane and see into our future if these nerfs continue. Today, we have a good old Flak build that will make Paul proud. I forgot his name, so there was a nice little, stall out right there. But we have the good old Flak build. This thing is super tanky and it does a lot of damage. It is actually, might almost be perfect. Super duper good build. So as you can see, we have left no trace of leave no trace because they didn't want us to go into the 100 tree. So we slid that, which, it kind of would seem like you would do no damage or not as much damage as you would, but you are able to do very, very amazing damage with the setup. I'm gonna try to keep this quick. It's probably gonna be a 15-minute video, even though I said that. So we're gonna see how this thing goes. So I've been experimenting with like no capstones for a lot of the different characters. By a lot of different characters, I mean 2, and it works out pretty well for them. But for Flak and certain builds, like this one in particular, this capstone just gives so much value. Most of the time, this is gonna go ahead and give you that 50% extra damage. If not the 50%, it's gonna give you that 25%. So you always get extra damage from this within the time period. This is an amazing opener for the Gamma Burst setup, because you're going Gamma Burst, your pet is going to end up taunting if you have this legendary class mod. And then from there, you can just open up, mow them down real quick, and inside of that time frame, you'll allow your pet to be able to tank more and more shots. So, well, not more and more shots. It'll be less things for him to tank, so he'll be able to stay alive longer, is what I was actually trying to say. So, starting off, I'll put 3 points into this. 2 points into Furious Attack. Furious Attack gives you 4% more gun damage per point that you put into this when it's fully stacked up. But we are leaning more towards the sustainability portion of this. So it's 2, 3. Put 3 points into this because we want our health regen to apply to the good old Skag. And then Eager to Impress. This so that way we are able to chain our Gamma Bursts way, way smoother. Since we are not going into the 100 tree at all, we do not have any cooldown for any of our skills. So we're going to utilize Eager to Impress instead of the, what's this bad boy called? Instead of Head Count. We're going to be utilizing Eager to Impress. And so we have like the wounds as well. This is the really catches if we end up going down. 9 times out of 10, we're not going to end up going down. I have not had a situation where me and my pet has went down. And especially you're able to do really good damage anyway. So if that ever does happen, you're able to res yourself and then you can Gamma Burst and you res your pet. This is a pretty much like undying type of setup where you don't lose. I've dealt with 2 additional projectiles, accuracy, and reflect on the map, and I was able just to breeze through that. So this right here, of course, is a damage reduction and health regeneration, or gun damage and fire rate, whichever one that you are playing around with at the time. You are able to stand still because your pet is going to be taking 99% of the time. If you saw the video, the AI was not, doing the tanking thing, so I ended up having to tank. But you have basically 2 tanks, and then 1 person that does a lot of damage, who is you. The pet does okay damage. So you have Fast and Furious maxed out. You have Hidden Machine maxed out because you're not going to be the one getting targeted by the target that you're shooting 9 times out of 10. So the reason why we don't have any points into Rage and Recover is because the 1.6% of the missing HP is never going to really apply from our side, because most of the time we're going to be at around full HP, or our HP is going to be closer to 70 to 80%, if not at full. And I'm not sure the exact numbers for the Skag's HP. So he would only get the benefit from the 1.6, or she, whatever the Skag is. It will only get the 1.6% of the missing HP, and it wouldn't ever get anything from our side. So I put 3 points into Persistent Hunter. This is going to help us out with our gun damage as well as the duration of Gamma Burst. And then Ferocity, we just put 2 points into this. So that way it gives the pet a little bit of gun damage, but that's not really the focus of this build. The pet damage does work with the Atomic Aroma. It does boost up that, so that's a little bit of extra DPS right there. We put 2 points into Heat Bites because the enemies in True Vault Hunter mode, Mayhem 3, are going to hit really, really hard, or just in Mayhem 3 in general, are going to hit very, very hard. So when you're fighting against those anointed enemies, or you're just fighting anybody, that reflection is going to help out quite a bit in making things a little bit faster. So putting 2 points into this actually ends up doubling the amount of healing that is actually doing from the damage dealt from you. So putting 2 points into this worked out super duper well. It keeps it super, super healthy. And then the plus 8% max health heals you. And then once again, it heals the pet. We got Frenzy. So Frenzy is able to stack up very, very fast with this setup. It allows you to get to that 40% extra damage, and it helps out your pet as well a little bit. Inside of fights, you're going to be able to get this stacked up really fast, but outside of fights, it's going to end up dropping. You'll be able to get that back up relatively fast so that we're able to do your max damage. And then Cycle Head on the Stake, that's just for the movement speed, really. So that way you can get those frenzy stacks and keep them up more and more. So we dip down on Hive Mind. Most of the time, we don't really need that 50% damage reduction because we are huge, able to fight anointed enemies relatively easily with this setup right here, and you don't need this. 4 points into this. So with the buff that happened to Barbaric Yop, you're actually getting 6% total gun damage with each point that you're putting into Barbaric Yop at this moment. We went with the Great Horn Skag simply for the damage. We just want more and more damage for the setup for our person because the pet damage as a base doesn't really do too much. It's not the greatest thing to scale off of something that doesn't do much at all. So we put 4 points into this for the 6% more total gun damage for us. 1 point of this is, of course, to keep the pet alive longer in those situations where it needs to tank super hard and somehow it gets low HP. And then we put the 2 points into this so that we get more value from this than Barbaric Yop. This is going to be, of course, 5% HP and 5% max HP with each point we put into this, and it just synergizes super well with our overall kit. We dodged out on this because we're 9 times out of 10 not going to be low HP. If we do end up low HP, we have a safeguard for if we do get down with Lick the Wounds. We have a ton of HP, and we also have another built-in safety net, which I'll go ahead and show you now. So our other safety net, I don't like building around grenades, and I never needed to use the cheapest organ. So feel free to use another grenade. This grenade right here is going to go ahead and allow you to lifesteal directly from the enemy's life, negating the shields. We're going past the shield. Bypassing it would be the better word. It bypasses the shield and it will be able to heal you. In those situations where somehow your pet dies and you do need to actually end up healing, you can go in and throw this out and you can 1v9 because you still do a lot of damage with this build setup. So it's super duper good. You're not relying on the pet at all. Or you can end up using a Murphy's grenade, which people love to use, which is a really good grenade. One thing that I found out about this that I was trying to play around with a little bit is that the health regen that you get from this never applies to your pet, unfortunately. So that's one thing to get out the way right there. So your guns, of course, you just want to use stronger guns for the setup. The Flacker, as long as you get a Flacker, you'll be in a really good spot. This is basically going to be your main DPS gun. And then you want a backup gun for when you run out of shotgun ammo. So whatever good Gamma Burst gun that you're able to pick up, I'm using this one right here. This bad boy does very good damage. It applies corrosive. When you Gamma Burst, it applies radiation, and then it also can possibly ignite as well. So it has a whole bunch of different damage sources, and it works out super duper well with that. You won't really be using the Luda in this setup, unfortunately. Probably can use the Lucian's Call if you end up aiming towards the target's head. Lucian's Call might be okay, but most of the time, you can just get away with utilizing more explosive type weapons because you're going to have to get around your pet in some of these instances where he ends up just body blocking everything. So explosive weapons are going to give you a good amount of value. I'm sure there's some other guns that can run this setup because you are pretty monstrous with this. So this is the shield that you want to go ahead and use. You can use another shield. The skills that I do recommend for the shields are going to be at least the 5% max health per second. So that's going to heal your max HP. And since that 5% max HP regeneration is going to go over to your pet, it's going to be healing 5% of your max HP health. It's going to be very significant. So this shield right here also boosts up your max HP by 50%. This you can get from Athena's. It is going to be the quest, the Holy Spirit. You go ahead and do the optional portion of that, and they give you this at whatever level that you're at. And this thing is super duper good. There are a couple other decent legendary shields that you can use that have max HP attached to them. You just have to pick up some good shields. If you did use something like this, then you wouldn't go into the power inside. This thing really didn't hover. Yeah, if you end up using something like this, you wouldn't go into the power inside. This right here is a good shield that's not a legendary. Gives you more max HP regeneration per second. but it does cut into your max health a little bit. Or in the brawler wart might be okay. But this shield right here just gives you so much value. You're sitting at 18k HP. And that's without like the damage reduction that you're factoring in. So this is the legendary class mod. Of course, it has the taunt inside of the gamma burst. Really, the substats on this really don't do much for me. The shock resistance is cool, but you guys 9 times out of 10 are probably going to be able to find a better one. So this right here is going to give you a lot of corrosive damage. When you're opening up with the power inside, you'll be able to mow down a few targets relatively fast inside that time period, or just beam down the anointed enemy. But if you beam down a few of the targets within that time period, you'll be able to get a really good, nice stack of corrosive damage that's going to apply to your good old corrosive weapons, and you'll be able to just mow down enemies at a really good rate. So this helps in conjunction with your opener and get you rolling inside of that good old damage. And then also, if you're running a Flakker, this 50% gun damage from sliding is awesome if you want to, you know, commit a kamikaze. It's great for that. If you can aim it really well, you can get it to work, but most of the time these slides are sketchy. Because you'll one-shot yourself from 18k, which is insane. And that is basically it. I'm playing around with some more guns. I'll probably have some more videos of this one running through probably the hardest maps possible, like the worst rolled maps possible that I can find. I'll go ahead and do that and put that up on the good old channel. If you guys have any questions or anything, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Go ahead and try this build and let me know how this bad boy works. I'll be in the good old comments as always. And also I'm gonna end up doing some things where I'm gonna be comparing the best builds to each other. So I'll try to find like some really bad rolls or like some about equal rolls and then run like this build versus a normal crit setup or something like that. I'll start playing around with those concepts. So if you guys have any ideas for things that you do want to see, go ahead and leave those below as well. And yeah, your boy is outie.